Welcome to America's Angels. Today, you will learn everything you need to know about becoming a foster parent. Sit back, grab a snack, and enjoy. As we welcome you to America's Angels, we would like to hear from you. Share your motivation with us to becoming a foster parent or adoptive parent. And we would also like to know who or what inspired your interest. Take a few minutes to discuss those things, and we'll come right back. Today, these are the following topics that we will discuss. Who are we? All you need to know about America's Angels. We will discuss the scope and requirements of being a foster or adoptive parent. Foster adoptive family responsibilities. Commonly used definitions while fostering or adopting, basic requirements, your pathway to fostering, the step-by-step process, our agency's stance on discipline, do's and don'ts of fostering, agency expectations, and foster parent reimbursement. So let's get into it. Who are we? America's Angels was founded by Dr. Unita Talley in 2009. The agency was later licensed in 2010 and accepted its very first family within days of operating. Dr. Talley currently serves as our executive director and has over 25 years in child welfare. Dr. Talley believes in providing quality and nurturing families to children to assist in helping them reach their full potential. She believes that all children, if provided with a safe place, can become productive adults. Our agency philosophy is, we believe that every child deserves a safe, nurturing family. It is our goal to provide quality care to children and help each child achieve their full potential within the least restrictive environment of family settings. Through the appropriate training of our foster parents, we provide a nurturing, caring, and safe environment for the children in our care. America's Angels develops resources to meet the challenges of children and families. We are comprised of experienced and well-trained professionals. Our staff provide the support to foster families through monthly home visits, training, case management activities, and in addition, we implement conservative supervision practices in order to provide the maximum protection possible. America's Angels is committed to a team approach in administering the program as well as providing care and treatment for children. America's Angels utilizes trained, experienced full-time staff, subcontractors, and consulting service providers in the community to meet the needs of each child accepted into foster care and the foster families who serve our children. What we do. We contract with the Department of Family and Protective Services in order to place children in foster or adoptive homes. We also partner with the Department of Health and Human Services in order to license our foster and adoptive homes. We provide services and support to promote a safe and nurturing environment. Our staff provides support to foster and adoptive families through monthly home visits, weekly contact, training, and case management activities. Let's talk about foster parent responsibilities. Your responsibility as a foster parent would be to provide daily care and nurture to children in care. Advocate for the children in their schools and community. Inform the child's caseworker about adjustments to the home, the school, and the community, as well as any problems that may arise, including serious illnesses, accidents, serious occurrences involving the foster child or their biological family, and your family as well. Make efforts as team members with the child's caseworker towards reunifying children with their birth families. Provide a positive role model to families. Help children learn life skills. Ensure your paperwork is up to date and completed monthly. Now, what are some of the basic requirements to being a foster or adoptive parent? You must be 21 years of age, financially stable, and must be able to prove your income. You must be able to provide proof of education. You must be responsible, mature adults capable of making prudent decisions. You must be eligible to pass all background checks. This includes you and any household member over the age of 14, or I should say 14 years or older. Agree to home visits, attend training, and renew those trainings annually. You must have adequate space in your home. You must have reliable transportation. If you are divorced, your divorce should be 1 year before you seek licensure, and you must have proof that you are divorced. If you are married, you must be married for more than a year and have proof of your marriage. Negative TB test will be required of all household members. That includes anyone over the age of 2. Be open to sharing information about your private lifestyles, as it will definitely impact a child placed in your care. You must be able to communicate with our staff. Communication is key. Be able to provide a safe place for our children. Now, let's journey into the steps of becoming a licensed foster or adoptive family. Our verification process is defined by 3 phases. Phase 1 includes attending our agency orientation. You're doing that now. You will be provided with an application. The expectation is for that application to be returned to us with accurate information. Background checks will be included. Fingerprints may be required if you have not fostered or adopted in the state of Texas within the last 5 years. If you've previously fostered with another agency, we will require you to sign an agency release of information so that we can obtain your file from your previous agencies. You must be able to pass an initial home visit. Your homes must be kid-proofed. Swimming pools must be secured. In phase 2, once all background checks have been returned, approved, we move into your trainings. The gathering of required documents, such as birth certificates, copies of your social security cards, driver's license, proof of education, proof of marital status, proof of auto and home or renter's insurance, all your pet vaccinations, proper weapon storage, proper medication storage, and you must be able to ensure that your home is kid safe and set up for your desired age group. Then you will move on to review and sign all of our agency policies. If you do not have any foster parent experience, you will be required to complete 40 hours of observation, which means you will be paired up with an experienced foster family to gain knowledge of what it takes and to look at a day in the life of a foster parent. If you are a kinship family, you will not need, or it is not required for you to obtain 40 hours of observation. You will have your home visit, and then you will move into your inspections, which include your health inspection, your fire and gas inspections, if required. Fire inspections are required of all families. Gas inspections are only required if your home is powered by gas for any services. That could be hot water heater, it could be gas stove range, or your furnace. If everything is electric, gas inspections may not be required. Next, you will move into phase 3. You're almost there. In this phase, we collect your medical documents. All of our foster families have to have current physicals, up-to-date physicals, and that information presented to us to know that you are healthy and capable of fostering. This is the time that all of your household members' TB tests will be collected. Your financial documents will also be collected during phase 3. You must provide us with 60 days of proof of income, 2 utility bills for 60 days, and 60 days of bank statements. Last but not least, we go into your home study. After your home study has been completed and approved, congratulations! You are now a licensed foster or adoptive care provider. You will now be assigned a caseworker and placed on a list for placement. Now, let's talk about some definitions. What exactly is a foster child? Well, a foster child is a minor child who has been taken into state's custody and placed with a state licensed adult who cares for the child in place of their parent or guardian. Children often enter foster care system as a result of an unsafe or unstable home environment, usually due to abuse or neglect. You may ask, why are children in foster care? Children end up in foster care for various reasons, and it's often not due to their own action. In fact, the majority of children in foster care are there because of abuse or neglect from their biological parents or guardian. This can include physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or neglect. Unfortunately, some families may struggle with addiction or mental health issues, which can lead to unsafe environments for children. Financial instability is another common reason why some families may turn to foster care as a temporary solution while they get back on their feet. In other cases, children may be removed from their homes due to parental incarceration or death. While these situations are certainly difficult for everyone involved, it's important that the well-being and safety of the child remain top priority. Whatever the reason is behind a child entering into foster care, it's important that we offer support and resources to both them and their caregiver. By doing so, we help ensure that every child has access to a safe, loving home environment where they have the opportunity to thrive. Let's talk about the different types of foster care placement. First, you have foster care placement, kinship placement, a legal risk placement, or an adoption placement. Let's talk about them. Foster care placements. Children are temporarily placed in your home. The parental rights may not be terminated. This placement could potentially become a long-term placement if a permanent placement has not yet been secured. Kinship placement. Kinship placement is when relatives or other people who the child or family may have a significant relationship with can provide the child with stability when they can't live with their birth parent. You may ask, what exactly is a legal risk placement? Well, I'm going to tell you. This is a type placement that the plan for the child is adoption. However, the parental rights of the legal guardians may not have yet been terminated, or there's a legal challenge to the termination and it is pending. Placement in this home does not guarantee this child will be adopted by your family. But legal risk placement is a type of foster care placement where a child is placed with the prospective permanent adoptive parent before the rights of the natural parent has been surrendered or terminated with finality. And last, we'll talk about adoption placement. This is where the child's caseworker, the family's caseworker, and the adoptive family will sign paperwork officially placing the child in your home for adoption. The department will ask the adoptive family to read and sign documents and answer questions that the family may have about the child or children placed with them. Can foster families adopt? Yes! Many families are interested in both fostering and adopting. They agree with the agency that the child's needs come first. In most cases, this means helping prepare children for reunification with their birth family, mentoring the birth family, or working toward a relative or kinship placement. When termination of parental rights is in the child's best interest and adoption is their plan, then foster parents who have cared for the child will be given the opportunity to adopt. Dual certification of parents to both foster and adopt speeds up the placement process. It reduces the number of moves a child makes and allows relationships to evolve with the initial placement process. Nearly half of the adoptions of children in DFPS care are by their foster parents. The difference between an agency and a private adoption. Texas law permits birth parents to place their child for adoption with another family without an intermediary. This is what's considered a private adoption. When another person, however, acts as an intermediary, such as the Department of Family and Protective Services, in arranging that adoption, the person or organization must be licensed through the Department of Family and Protective Services or a private agency like America's Angels, and you must meet stringent requirements, such as the basic requirements that we previously discussed. Now, what are some of your responsibilities to being a foster parent? Helping the child to understand their plan for permanency. Helping children manage their loss, maintain connections, make new connections, or permanent attachments. Help the child cope with change and transition. Follow through on all aspects of the service plan as agreed upon with our staff. Keep America's Angels staff current on all information relating to the child, including any new needs of the child. Informing America's Angels staff immediately of any injury to the child requiring medical attention, any other serious incident involving the child, including abuse, neglect, or the unauthorized absence of the child, and any harm to self or others. It is your responsibility to immediately report to America's Angels all foster family events that may impact the provision of foster care to any and all of the children placed in your home. Keeping all child, family, and agency information confidential. Participate in all required training to keep up the home license. Allowing both announced and unannounced visits by America's Angels, as we are expected to do both announced and unannounced, meaning you could be having family dinner on a random Saturday or Sunday and ding dong, who's at the door? Your America's Angels case manager. It's a pop-up visit. You must allow us access into your home if we complete unannounced or pop-up visits to your home. It is your responsibility to supervise each child placed in your home at all times and in accordance with our agency policies and procedures as they relate to supervised and unsupervised activities. If you have any questions whether an activity needs to be supervised or unsupervised, you should direct that to your case manager. Not admitting a non-relative for over 24 hours from any source other than America's Angels. That basically means not bringing any children into your home without us knowing about it. It's your responsibility not to discharge a child to anyone without America's Angels' knowledge and consent. That includes even the DFPS worker. If he or she shows up at your house unannounced, please contact our agency immediately to make us aware. It's your responsibility to maintain compliance with all applicable minimum standards and any additional requirements America's Angels policies and procedures may require you. This includes childcare, discipline, supervision, reporting, and child visits or trips away from the foster home. It's your responsibility to contact America's Angels regarding any requests for contact or visits with the child's biological parents or other family members and or any significant friend or outside of the foster home. It's your responsibility to contact America's Angels regarding any overnight visits, activities away from the home, out-of-state visits. Activities must be approved in writing by America's Angels no less than 2 weeks prior to the date which the visit or activity is scheduled. Which basically means if you're going on vacation and you're going to another state, you need to make us aware 2 weeks prior so we can obtain the appropriate permissions in order for you to travel. It is your responsibility to transport any child placed in your care to appointments or visits. It's your responsibility to encourage children to participate in age-appropriate childhood activities. Support the child in having normal interactions and experiences within the foster family and to participate in foster family activities. Unless otherwise prohibited, the foster parent should make decisions regarding the foster child's participation in childhood activities, whether supervised or unsupervised. The decision should be made as any other reasonable and prudent parent would make the same decision for a child of similar chronological and developmental age with similar needs and abilities. The service plan may not require approval of the parent or legal guardian before the foster parent may consent to a child's participation in a childhood activity. If a foster or legal guardian provides notice in advance that a child is prohibited from participating in a specific activity, you must follow that decision. Foster parents must use reasonable and prudent parent judgment when making decisions on the health and safety of each child placed in your home and the best interest of the child, and encourage the emotional and social growth and development of each child placed in your home. When using reasonable and prudent judgment, foster parents must take into consideration the following when deciding whether a child may participate in normal activities. Consider the child's age and level of maturity, the child's cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development level. You must consider the child's behavioral history and ability to safely participate in a proposed activity. Consider the child's overall ability. Consider whether the activity is a normal childhood activity for a child of that age and maturity level. You must take into consideration the child's desire to participate. Consider all the surrounding circumstances, hazards, or risk of activity. Consider outside supervision of the activity if available and appropriate. Consider supervision instructions in the child's service plan and the importance of providing the child with the most normal family-like living experience possible. It is your responsibility as a foster parent to submit the following reports to America's Angels on a monthly basis by the 8th of each month. Progress logs, daily routines, recreation logs, prescription and non-prescription drug reports and medication logs, and any other information as requested by America's Angels, including but not limited to school reports and report cards, medical reports, dental reports, police reports, daily schedules, and rules. Reading, accepting, and abiding by all terms and conditions imposed on your agreement. It is also the responsibility of all agency foster parents to abide by all of America's Angels policies and procedures, as well as the minimum standard. Respite and/or alternative caregivers. America's Angels requires all of our foster families to have an alternative caregiver or backup caregiver to assist them in cases of emergency. This person must be pre-approved, trained, and known to America's Angels. Alternative caregivers must sign all of our discipline policies on medication, and attend trainings, just as you are as foster parents. The agency must be notified prior to any respite care or alternative caregiver placements. Respite care may take place in the foster home or in the home of the alternate caregiver, if approved. And always remember, additional rules may apply. What is respite care? Respite care services are planned alternative 24-hour care that has the purpose of providing relief to the child's primary caregiver. Respite care is typically provided by a caregiver that the foster family selects to assist them in caring for their child in their absence. Or the respite caregiver can be another licensed foster parent with America's Angels and/or another local agency. If the caregiver is licensed with another agency, approval from that agency must be granted prior to that family performing respite duties. A child can stay in respite care for up to 14 days or up to 40 days per calendar year. A respite child care placement that is made because a child's current foster home is under investigation for abuse or neglect does not count toward, nor is it limited by the time frames. However, these placements are limited to a maximum of 60 days. That basically means if we have to put a kid from your home in respite due to an investigation that is occurring in your home, if we are reaching day 60, that placement will become permanent with that respite provider at day 61 if the investigation has not finalized. If a child needs respite care services for more than 14 consecutive days or more than 60 days for an abuse or neglect investigation, this is considered a new placement and will not be respite care. When a child finishes a respite care placement, he may not return to respite for at least 10 days. If a parent or legal guardian provides notice in advance that a child is prohibited from participating in a specific activity, the foster parent or the respite provider must respect that decision. Planned respites will be paid by the placement family directly to the respite family. The placement family may negotiate with the respite provider a rate, especially if it's your respite provider. However, if it is another licensed foster parent with our agency or another agency, unfortunately, you will need to pay that respite provider whatever rate you are being reimbursed for that child. Monetary payments must be made to the respite family at the time that the child is picked up from the respite family. We typically encourage our families to pay the respite provider at the time you drop the child off. That way, there's no confusion, and it's a way of providing financial means for the child in the event that the family participates in activities outside of the home. Respites, again, will be paid directly to America's Angels, and then the family should pay the respite provider. We no longer expect families to pay their respite providers by check. The only means of paying your respite provider is cash, cashier's check, or money order. The rate will be calculated based on the number of nights slept in the respite home at the level of care of each child. Children in care also have rights. Let's talk about those. America's Angel staff, contractors, and caregivers support and protect the rights listed in the CPS Rights of Children and Youth in Foster Care. America's Angels ensures that foster adopt parents, contractors, and staff do not restrict or deny a child's rights while in care, and removes the child from situations where abuse, neglect, or exploitation exist. A child has a right to be safe in care. A child in foster care has the right to good care and treatment that meets the child's needs in the most family-like setting possible. They have a right to be free from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and they have a right to fair treatment. Children also have a right to family contact, including the right to maintain regular contact with their parents and siblings unless restricted by Department of Family and Protective Services. Children have the right to live a normal life. They have the right to be spoken to in the child's own language, if available. They have a right to receive educational services. They have a right to participate in their own religious beliefs. They have a right to participate in childhood activities. They have a right to privacy. They have a right to personal care, hygiene, and grooming equipment and supplies. And they have a right to be trained on how to use those. They have a right to clothing that protects them against the weather. They have a right to their own personal items. They have a right to their own personal space and bedroom. They have a right to be informed of search policies and be free of unreasonable searches and unreasonable removal of their personal items. Depending on the child's age, maturity, they have the right to seek employment and to keep their own money and to have a bank account. They have a right to consent in writing before taking part in publicity or fundraising activities. They have a right to refuse to make public statements, and they have a right not to be pressured to get abortions or to give up their child for adoption. Children in care have a right to be free from harsh, cruel, unusual, unnecessary, demeaning, humiliating treatment or punishment. This means the child must not be shaken, subjected to, or threatened with corporal punishment, including spankings, hitting, or taps. Taps on the hand, the leg, or the backside is considered discipline, and it is prohibited. Children in care have a right not to be forced to do unproductive work that serves no purpose except to demean the child, such as removing rocks from one pile to another, digging a hole and filling it back up again, or some of the most common types of unproductive work, writing sentences. I know a lot of us grew up writing sentences whenever we acted out. We are not allowed to use this method with foster children. They are not allowed to write, "I will not act up today. I will not act up today. I will not act up." They are not allowed to do it. Don't do it. You will be in trouble if you go against that policy. They have a right to not be denied food, sleep, a bathroom, meal, or family visits as punishment. You cannot deny them any of those things based on their behavior. They have a right not to be subjected to remarks that belittle or ridicule them or their biological family. They have a right not to have their placement threatened or shelter as a form of punishment. So you are not allowed to tell them, "If you continue with this behavior, I'm going to have you moved out of my home." You cannot make statements that suggest that. If you do, your home will be closed. Children in care have a right not to be subjected to demeaning behavior that is meant to embarrass, control, harm, intimidate, or isolate them. Demeaning behavior may include using physical force, rumors, threats, or inappropriate comments. This basically means you cannot get with your biological children and talk about your foster kids and laugh and make jokes about them. It is inappropriate, and if found out, we will close your home immediately. Foster children have the right to not be disciplined, and they have a right to be disciplined that in a manner that is appropriate with their age, maturity level, and developmental levels. They have a right to have restrictions or disciplinary policies explained to them at placement and when those measures are imposed. They have a right for plans that will occur for them while they're in care, which would include the right to have a comprehensive service plan, and they have a right to participate in all of their service plan meetings. They have a right to actively participate in the development and the review of all of their service plans. They have a right to medical care and records, including the right to medical, dental, vision, emotional, mental health care, developmental services, or chemical dependency treatment that adequately meets their need. They have a right to be free of unnecessary or excessive medication. They have a right to confidential care and treatment, including keeping medical records, agency records private, and only discussing them when it is about the child. You may not discuss a child's medical records or mental health records with any member of your family if they are not a part of the child's treatment team. Complaints, including the right to make calls, reports, or complaints without interference, coercion, punishment, retaliation, or threats of punishment or retaliation. The child may make these calls, reports, complaints anonymously. Depending upon the nature of the complaint, the child also has the right to call, report, or complain to the DFPS Texas Abuse and Neglect Hotline. the HHSC Ombudsman for Children and Youth currently in foster care, the DFPS Office of Consumer Affairs, and the Disability Rights of Texas Office. Children in care have a right to receive court hearing notices and to attend permanency and placement court hearings to the extent possible. They have a right to be free from pressure to get abortion, relinquish their rights of their child. They have a right to report abuse, neglect, exploitation, or any violation of their personal right without fear of punishment, interference, coercion, or retaliation. Visits will not be canceled as a result of disciplinary action. Serious incident reporting. According to our Texas minimum standard, a serious incident is a non-routine occurrence that has or may have dangerous or significant consequences on the care, supervision, and or treatment of a child. A serious incident is also an unauthorized absence. You may ask, what is considered an unauthorized absence? I'm going to tell you. This is anytime a child is absent from foster home without permission from the foster parent or other temporary caregiver and cannot be located. This includes when an unauthorized person has removed the child from the foster home. Unauthorized absence has replaced the term runaway. We no longer use runaway in foster care. We now say unauthorized absence. There is a reason that the next statement is underlined and bold, and that is because it's very important to remember. You must report and document any serious incident involving a child who is in care in your home immediately to our staff, no matter the time or the day or the time of day. If it's occurring on a weekend, our agency has an on-call phone to which you report those incidents. If it's during the week, Monday through Friday, you will call your regular case manager. If you cannot get the on-call person or your regular case manager, you would move on to contact our program manager, Sophia Harris. If you cannot get in touch with Sophia Harris, you would move on a step further to reach out to Dr. Unita Talley, who is our executive director. You must get in touch with someone immediately to report any serious incident. Now, let's talk about serious incident versus just a regular incident. Again, a serious incident is a non-routine occurrence that has or may have dangerous or significant consequences on the care, supervision, and or treatment of the child. Whereas an incident is a routine occurrence that does not or is not dangerous in nature. It does not create a significant consequence on the care, supervision, and or treatment of the child. Let's talk about some examples. Types of serious incidents. If a child dies in care while in your care, that's a serious incident. A critical injury or illness that requires a medical professional or hospitalization. This includes psychiatric hospitalizations. Allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a child. Physical abuse committed by a child against another child. Sexual abuse committed by a child against another child. If a child in your care is indicted, charged, or arrested for a crime, not including being ticketed at school by law enforcement or any other citation that does not result in the child being detained, are all types of serious incidents. A child developmentally or chronologically under the age of 6 being absent from a foster home. A child developmentally or chronologically between the ages of 6 to 12 being absent. A child 13 years or older being absent from your home is a serious incident. A child in your care, if they contract a communicable disease that the law requires you report to the Department of Health Services, is considered a serious incident. And any suicide attempt, or should I add, homicide attempt on any child in care or another person is considered a serious incident, and all serious incidents must be reported immediately. Let's go over some types of incidents. School behaviors, suspensions, a child placed in ISS. That's just an incident report. A child being disrespectful to you, the foster parent, or any other adult caregiver. Temper tantrums, age level fights that do not result in injury, which basically means if a 5-year-old is fighting another 5-year-old, if a 15-year-old is fighting another 15-year-old, those are age level fights, and we just document. However, if a child is fighting, if let's say a 5-year-old is fighting a 15-year-old, that becomes a serious incident because they are not age leveled. If any child is injured and requires medical attention in the course of a fight, it then becomes a matter of serious incident. A child refusing to take a bath or complete any of their hygienic needs, that would just be a regular incident. A child refusing to eat is a regular incident until it's occurring more frequently and the child may need to be seen by a medical professional because now they are at the point of malnourishment. It becomes a serious incident at that point of time where they would need medical attention. Unexplainable marks on a toddler or an infant. Generally, this basically means when toddlers or infants are beginning to walk or crawl, they may slip or they may fall and obtain a scratch. If it's just a simple scratch where Neosporin can be applied or witch hazel can be applied, it's not really a serious incident. However, if they toddle and fall or slip and injure themselves severely where they need to be seen by a healthcare professional, it becomes a serious incident at that time. Behaviors that occur during normal family outings are all types of incidents, and incidents may be reported to your case manager during your regular business hours, during your home visits, during your phone conversations with your case manager, and you would also want to document those on your weekly or monthly paperwork, and you would also want to document those on our incident forms that you will later learn to use in our documentation training. Foster parent reimbursement. Let's talk about it. Foster parents are not usually financially compensated by the government for child rearing expenses. While foster parents do receive financial support to cover basic needs of the child, such as clothing, shelter, this support is not considered financial compensation and should not take the place of the foster parent's own monetary stimulus. Are foster parents required to work? They absolutely are. You may work full-time. You may work part-time. Whatever is necessary to cover and support yourself, you would definitely need to do that. You must have the ability to support your own bills via income that you bring outside of fostering. Foster parent reimbursement funds do not belong to you, the parent. They belong to the child that you are caring for. It is the expectation of America's Angels that funds received will take care of the child's basic care needs, but not limited to clothing, shoes, hygiene products, hair care products, undergarments, diapers, haircut, salon costs, extracurricular activities, sports, cheerleading, dance groups, toys, cell phones, nail shop visits, and any other necessity that you would afford your own biological child. Level of care. Foster parents receive $27.07 per day for basic level children, but can get paid more if a child demonstrates more complex needs. If you accept a moderate level child into your home, you can anticipate being paid or reimbursed $47.37 per day. Now, this is saying per day, but remember, children are considered the day, let me say it this way. The day is considered by actual nights spent in your home, not by the day. A child can be in your home 2 days. However, they only sleep in your home one night. You will then be financially reimbursed for the one night, not the 2 days. So although these amounts are provided per day, in actuality, it is per night the child slept in your home. Back to moderate level. If you are dealing with a child who may be frequently violent, who presents a medium risk to himself or others, you will be compensated $47.37 per day. This child may be prone to substance abuse, have an impairment in communication, or have a medical condition that requires constant support. Specialized children. If you accept specialized children into your home, you can expect to be compensated $57.86 per day. You will need to deal with severe impairment behaviors, possibly some substance abuse, suicidal, homicidal behavior, multiple physical disabilities, or a child confined to a bed. Children who are mostly confined to beds are considered PMN children, and unfortunately, America's Angels does not accept PMN placements, nor do we accept children with level of cares higher than specialized. So children who are assessed an intense level of care, we will not accept into our program. Discipline. Let's talk about it. Throughout this presentation, you may notice that discipline has been outlined several times. Well, there's a reason for that, because we want to make sure that as a new incoming foster parent, that you understand from the very beginning, discipline is prohibited. Physical discipline, let me correct that. Physical discipline is prohibited in all foster homes. It is prohibited in any foster care setting. Positive discipline techniques, however, such as redirection, consistency, positive reinforcement, timeouts, boundary setting, giving choices, and praising good behavior are all acceptable forms of discipline. Physical discipline, demeaning behaviors or remarks are strictly prohibited. Your home will be immediately closed, and you may be investigated if it is found that you are utilizing physical discipline in your home. Let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts of fostering. Do make your foster kids feel welcome and a part of your family. Allow them to express themselves. Allow them to make lots of memories with you and your family. Allow them to spend time with their case managers in private. Remember, it is their right. Think about their safety. Realize visits with their biological families can be very difficult for them. So be a little compassionate towards them when they return to your home. Respect their privacy and their personal items. Cook meals that you know they enjoy. Let's talk about some of the don'ts in foster care. Do not have unreasonable expectations. You will be disappointed. Do not get angry when you find out that your foster child may have lied to you or on you. Do not remove anything from their possession that was given to them by their biological family. Do not compare them to your biological children. They may not have experienced the same things that your biological children have experienced. So even though they are the same age, they are not the same. Do not lose your temper with your foster child or children. Do not overly spoil them. Let's talk about what spoil means. Let's not overindulge them with things or with food or with items in hopes of getting them to act right, whatever that would mean. Do not misuse their reimbursement money. Do not treat them like orphans. They are not orphans. And do not use physical discipline of any kind. Yeah, there it is again. Discipline. Physical discipline is prohibited and cannot be utilized in foster care. Please do not hit, tap, pat, or touch a foster child at all, as your home will be closed immediately and you will be placed under investigation and could possibly be assessed a reason to believe, which would permanently close your home and would not allow you to foster anywhere in the state of Texas ever again. Questions? Let's talk about it. You will be provided with a test, and it is your responsibility to place your name and date on your test and return it to our foster home developer. The end. Guess what? You survived your very first foster parent training. Thank you for inquiring about foster care and or adoptions with America's Angels. And we look forward to working with you as you journey into foster care and adoption or adoption. We hope that you learned everything you need to be successful as a foster care and adoption parent. Thank you and have a great day.